So we're at 7:04. I'll call the order of this meeting of the Master Plan Update Committee, February 25th, 2021. We'll start with the open session. There's nobody in the waiting room. There's nobody here. Does anybody want to address an open session? Good, no. Vision statement, per George purview, we're going to wait on that until the next meeting. Brings us to historic final draft review.
You able to bring that up, Ken?
You want to, or you want me to?
If you could.
Give me 1 second. Oh, wait a minute. Why don't I have that? I have open space and cultural. Is cultural historic? It
Yes.
is, right?
Yes.
All right. So just let me do a screen share here. Is that the right one?
Yes, it is. All right. So the committee's seen this a number of times at this point. This version includes Deb Taverna's, on behalf of the Historical Commission, second round of updates and edits. So if you could just scroll, and I'll try to see where she made some most recent edits. Where she added a couple things here in red.
Yep.
Minor updates. Continue scrolling. Okay, next one was about the community center up in North, mini museum. Okay. Let's see. She provided an update on UMass West, being all the buildings have been demolished. And she added historic houses along Boston Road, South, East Chelmsford and West Chelmsford being endangered. Okay. She's providing some updates on what the Historical Commission has been doing. Middle school students tour of forefathers. North Town Hall Historic Preservation Award. And then her last sentence there is the commission has worked with the planning board on bylaw changes. Okay. This is that's an update on the old Garrison House programming.
Yep.
Okay.
I take part in that.
Now, why is the part that's in blue that was crossed out, why wasn't it replaced with something else?
I don't have the updated information. I could reach out. Yeah, I don't have the updated information.
Well, Matt, I'm kind of wondering, in 2008, if they received 8,400 and that was used, and we didn't get any more other grants, maybe that's why she took all those out of there? No,
I deleted it. So since 2008, the Cultural Council has likely issued an additional $8,400. Every year they do a call for proposals. I don't know if we need to or want to itemize all of their awards or simply capture that they have a grant program.
I think it's worth including here what's being accomplished within the past time frame, okay. Both on this page and the previous page that talks about historic preservation projects under the community preservation plans.
Yeah.
I mean, this is our one time,
in a decade,
kind of a summary of what's going on in town. What's
Okay.
happening?
I will get those. I will get those updates.
Thank you, Evan.
And then I don't know if that's where these are located. Do you, I think you're right, or did Deb put that in, or you?
Yes,
Evan?
Deb did.
I think she's right. I think the Chelmsford Art Society is at the CCA. I'm not 100% sure.
I can reach out to Susan Gates with confirmation.
And then on that next paragraph, where she said there are two primary focal, cultural focal points in town. I mean, does she mean in all of Chelmsford or just Chelmsford, not North Chelmsford? Because, I mean, they have in North Chelmsford, they have the old, you know, the town hall up there that's where they have dance and.
Yeah, that's mentioned. Is it mentioned? The Center Town Hall on North Road. What is that? Oh, that's the yeah, that's the CCA right now.
The CCA and the Adams Library. I mean, they don't really. I didn't see where they mentioned the other library up in North Chelmsford or the North Chelmsford Town Hall.
All right, I'll add that. What page is this? No pages. That's okay.
Page 22.
Okay.
I just don't want anybody reading it and saying, "Oh, they left somebody out."
Okay, so the issues and
Evan, why did you
opportunities.
take this section out?
Take what section out?
Under issues and opportunities, agricultural preservation.
Because that is under open space and rec.
Yeah.
If you recall, the 2010 master plan kind of combined historic, cultural, and open space, I believe.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, so that is, if you want to leave that paragraph in, that's fine, but I think it's also in under open space and rec.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Yeah,
I'd rather leave it in.
okay.
It is very, very much a part of our heritage in terms of cultural heritage. So it's not just an open space accessibility issue. It really is, you know, our root culture was a agricultural community.
Okay.
And the
So-
fact that we invested in the farm at the last town meeting says the people still care about it.
Okay, so this is where I spent most of my time with the updates in preparation for this meeting. So it just clarified in that second paragraph that the standalone historic cultural preservation plan was completed in 2013. Then indicate in the next paragraph that implementation's been incremental. The historical commission is the primary entity to oversee the implementation of that. I added the historical commission collaborating with the planning board to advance several zoning articles for historic preservation. Top of the next page.
Evan,
Yep.
in that paragraph, these proposals were not adopted by town meeting. I
Yep.
think it's worth saying here that they were not adopted because they increased density. Because they promoted preservation by increasing density.
Okay.
It's not, I don't want to leave it with the message that nobody's interested in preservation. It's just that people are absolutely against increasing density.
Right. If you could go scroll up just a bit. Yep, right there. So I added that per the 2010 master plan, design guidelines for commercial, industrial, and multifamily were adopted in conjunction with COID. I need to check to see if the State Historic Landscape Preservation Initiative is still an active program. I don't believe it is. Next edit was, over the last decade, the town has strengthened and improved efforts to maintain town-owned historic buildings. Next paragraph, the update just clarifies the adoption of the facade and signage improvement program using CPC funds. That last paragraph on that page, over the last decade, the town, let's see, led by the town clerk. Invite. Did you get those, Ken?
Yeah, I'm gonna let someone in that I don't know who it is, but I'm gonna assume it's Scott.
Yeah, I think it is. That last edit there is just a update that the town clerk has led the town's effort on historic preservation of documents and archives. Okay, next page. So that was it for the updates on issues and opportunities. And then, as the committee knows, the next part of this exercise is recommendations. So everything that's in here is either continue implementation of 2010 recommendations, or carryovers from recommendations that weren't necessarily completed. I don't believe there are any new recommendations. Can you scroll down, Ken? I'm not sure if at this point, the historical commission or this committee.
Nothing else.
Yeah, so we have not identified any new historic preservation recommendations. With that being said, I will say that first bullet there, the historic commission should continue to implement the 2013 plan. There's a lot of meat in there. I'm sorry?
Shouldn't that plan be updated?
Yeah, it's fair to say it should be updated and continue to implement.
So they should update and continue to implement.
And so that plan contains a lot of very specific recommendations that aren't necessarily itemized, in this master plan recommendation. There's a couple carryovers that are still interesting, related to where is it? The concept, there it is, the last bullet, the concept of establishing historic districts in North Chelmsford and South Chelmsford should be further explored. I think the Historical Commission has held a couple educational sessions on that over the last decade. What isn't in here is anything specific to, continuing to try to provide zoning measures, although that concept is within the 2013 plan. So this chapter is pretty straightforward. We've made good progress over the last decade using CPC funds, creating some programs. Haven't had same level of success with zoning. And then the Historical Commission, as I mentioned, has a lot, within their agenda and their plan. So at this point, if anyone, can think of additional recommendations, that should be itemized in the master plan, you can send them over to me.
Evan, I'll attend the next, not next week, but the following week, the Historical Commission. If you could put it on their agenda, work with the chair to put an item on their agenda to discuss whether additional recommendations should be added to the master plan as opposed to the historical preservation plan, in order to get them more visibility and emphasis. I
Okay.
will have those discussions with them.
That sounds good. So I think we may have completed the review of historic and cultural. It's a little light on culture, but you know, we have our two buildings, and each building kind of runs their own programs. But I think all the cultural programs and organizations that were mentioned in 2010 still exist. I'm not sure to what capacity they're viable. That's always a challenge. Maybe Nancy, maybe when you speak with the Historical Commission, maybe they can provide some insight as to what the kind of long-term viability is of Garrison House and the Historical Society. And
well, I think it's more than that, Evan. This chapter really isn't doing justice to culture, whereas the historical and cultural preservation plan really did delve into it in terms of the hereditary and current culture and cultural changes in Chelmsford. And I'd have to say that cultural changes affect our planning just as much as demographic changes do. And we are going through cultural changes. And we're going through cultural changes because we're going through demographic changes. So it seems to me that the master plan warrants more than a tip of the hat to culture. And I don't think we're even doing that here.
you want to try
that said, do I want to step forward and try and figure out what should be put in here? I don't really want to, but I probably should.
Why don't you, maybe take a first pass at trying to pluck some paragraphs.
Pluck something, yeah. Pluck something that makes a statement here about where we came from, where we are, and where we're headed. And the impact that has on the town, the potential impact that has on the town.
Yeah, I think it's basically a copy and paste, plucking the most prominent, important messages out of the plan. Makes sense. Okay.
As much as I don't want to sign up to do that, I'm probably the best person to do it.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I thought you would, Ken. You're cute.
You got my support.
Thanks.
All right. Where are we going from here, Evan?
Scott or Bill, Mike, any other thoughts, ideas? Comments?
Not on the historical. I think a little more meat can be stuck there by, beating up on the historical commission and getting them to throw a few more ideas out there where they think it's warranted. I think that's a go.
The only thing I can add, Evan, is probably I kind of agree with Nancy. If we can identify any of the impacts that have happened in the last decade that are going to impact the town, right? We seem to have opposing goals at times where we want to maintain, a small town feel, but we want to keep growing and improve our tax base. And so how those two clash, and I don't know how, I'm not sure how to address that, but I think it's a good idea for Nancy to try to take a swing at it, so thanks, Nancy.
All right, do we want to move on to open space and rec?
One
So,
second.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Ken's bringing that up, this update is even there's even fewer updates on this than there were on historic and cultural. I made a couple edits. Again, the committee has seen this a number of times at this point. So if you could just scroll down and I can try to identify the few updates that I made. I added, that wasn't an update, that was already in there. Continue to
Can you
scroll.
blow that up just a little?
Very demanding crowd.
I know, but I'm on a laptop and it's really difficult to see that. All
How's that?
right,
That's good.
that's a little better. Thank
Okay.
you.
So these have all been in there for quite some
Oh,
time.
excellent.
Yep, keep scrolling. Let's see, so I added in 2020, updated related to the Warren Pole Farm. And I also added the Misty Meadows going to the Chelmsford Water District. Okay. Yeah, just keep scrolling. I don't think there were any updates in these areas.
You need to go outside. You need to go outside. Come on.
So it's here right here. It says town land, Evan. Do you want to put the Warren Pole Farm in this list?
Yes, I will do that. That's a good catch. Okay. Yeah, none of these were new.
So this is going a lot easier because Joe's not here, right?
You could say that.
Is
I
that
see that.
correct?
Yep, I see that in there. Yep.
I don't know the date. It was 2018, I think.
Yeah, I'll fill that in.
There was something else that I saw earlier, and I'm trying to remember what it was. Since I blew this up, though, I lost all my notes. Why did these get crossed out?
Because those were the old goals and objectives, And since then, the Conservation Commission updated their open space and rec plan. So if you scroll up just a
Okay.
little bit, you can see the,
Oh, okay.
yeah. The
You
ones that are
used the
crossed out
17.
were from 03,
Got it.
and then the underlined ones, the new ones are from their 17 plan.
Why isn't new capitalized in creating new opportunities when everything else in there is capitalized?
It can be, it will be,
It's just a formatting thing.
yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I do proofreading. Oh, God.
We're going too fast here. It's got to be something we need to.
Oh, George picked the right meeting to miss.
Yeah, well, I actually have some comments, but I'm gonna save them till you get all the way to the end.
And bring us back to page 2.
No, it's just an idea, something that I'm sure Evan could stick in there somewhere.
You see that misspelling right there?
Yeah, I'm leaving little nuggets for you, Ken.
Right here? All right. As long as you're picking up
Two
on
in
all
the
the
same
red
paragraph.
underlines. All the red underlines, it's key. When there's a red underline, that's usually a sign there's a misspelling of it.
I see that.
Word is great. So will you get NEMCOG's assistance to update these?
If they're able to. Okay, so just scroll back up on the issues and opportunities. As you can scroll down. As I mentioned, we've reviewed these multiple times at this point. These updates are all pretty straightforward. Okay, you can scroll down.
Evan, this is Fred. Is this the section that was going to be updated to include all of the ADA accomplishments the town has done over the last few years?
It's either going to be this section or facilities. I think it's facilities, because facilities would be town-wide.
Right, okay.
One of the things that we really need in terms of open space is a new farmer's market.
What do you mean by new? Oh, in the common?
At this point, at the common, we don't have anybody to organize it at this point.
I wasn't aware of that. Did it stop last year, or did they have it last year?
Well, it stopped last year because of COVID, but Fran
Okay.
McDougal was organizing it.
I thought it operated 1 year after Fran kind of passed
I thought
the,
it did too.
Yeah,
I thought Fran
don't
passed
know.
the torch.
there is no organization that I can find behind it right now. I'm trying to
Okay.
sign up for it and I can't find anybody. So,
so it's more about the operational capacity.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. There's insufficient organization behind the organization.
Do you know if the farmer's market on the common ceases to occur, will Maxwell's, who else does a summer farmer's market between Maxwell?
Maxwell's can't.
Okay, what about,
Maxwell's can't, and Deb has exceeded her capacity to do so as well. Deb
What is that?
Jones.
what does that mean? They no longer do any farmer's market there?
they're no longer going to do any farmer's market. They just don't have the health to do it.
Oh, okay, so it's a
Okay.
capacity issue for them as well.
It's a capacity
Operational,
issue
yeah.
for them. For Maxwell's, the problem is that they can only do it in their space when that space is not being used commercially, which is the middle of the winter. So as soon as they have to bring in stock to sell for the spring gardening market, they have to move the farmer's market out of there. So they're very, very limited in what they can do.
Okay.
And that basically leaves us with a farmer's market for, what do you figure? 1 quarter a year, maybe less.
Does anybody know who
Winter
Lindsay
months.
Lebrecht is?
Hmm?
Am I letting Lindsay Lebrecht into the room?
I don't know who that is.
No, I don't
Anybody?
either.
I think they left anyways.
Yeah, see if they come back.
All right.
Okay, so I'll add that under new recommendations.
Yeah, I mean, we have farmers markets in almost all the towns around, but at this point, we don't have the organization here.
Okay. Ken, you want to scroll down a little bit?
Nancy, is that comment for the 10-year plan, or is that something else?
No, that's a
I'm gonna-
comment for
guys,
the
I'm just
10-year
gonna-
plan.
I'm gonna let this person in because
It-
she's stinging us again to come in, and I'll
Okay.
just have to
So it's
watch.
not just a
and-
matter that we need somebody to, I'm sorry, Ken. It's not just the fact that we need somebody to come forward for this spring, but it's that we need an organization behind it. And, I mean, it needs to have just more than somebody that's willing to volunteer to be the go-to. It needs a method of coordination.
And I think also in our 10-year plan, it needs a statement that this is something that we desire for the purposes of maintaining and utilizing open spaces and for supporting.
Can you let them in?
Yep, she's out.
That
Funny, I was
that-
typing in the chat, asking her to identify herself, and
Yeah.
that sounded similar
when
to
she did
last
that.
last
I think
night's
it's the
planning
same.
board.
Yeah.
Likely the same.
all right, remember that name, Evan. Lindsay Lebrecht. Don't let her in.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No,
Okay,
I was,
so-
So
So, Mike, you were
I don't know
were
saying
whether
it-
belongs
you-
in open space or whether it belongs cultural or whether it belongs in, mentioned in both.
Yeah, both.
But
Yep.
but it's something that we really need.
well, it also needs to be mentioned, and when we get to the end of this, I'll probably bring us back to the small agriculture section of this. Because that's part of the support for agriculture is having a farmer's market available.
Yeah, I took a note that I really want to take another look at the agriculture section and
Yeah.
give them in some edits.
Okay, excellent.
Because I think it, looking at it there, I think it needs a little more,
Hmm.
a
Well,
little more meat to it.
do we want to go there now, or you want to?
No. Well, I don't. I don't know if anybody else does.
Oh, I have some comments on it. So.
Okay.
You want to jump to recommendations?
Yeah. Why don't we do that?
Okay.
Pickleball court. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Make sure you put a
Yes.
capital B there,
Yeah.
How much,
and then in
how
there.
much use do we get on the pickleball court?
How much what?
How much use does the pickleball court get?
My understanding is they were very busy in the fall when it opened.
Yeah.
All right, so these are, I mean, these are all the recommendations if you recall, I copied and pasted right out of the 2017 Conservation Commission Open Space and Rec Plan. I think further up, there's likely discussion about agriculture.
Mhm.
It's somewhere in here. It just, I think you were suggesting it needs some more.
Well, there's a section in the middle of the, of this chapter that discusses it. And then there's not, I don't think there's a lot in the way of specific recommendations.
Agreed.
And I think we can add a few.
Okay.
So under managing existing resources for open spaces, I'm going to say there needs to be another recommendation in there around maintaining a budget for managing open spaces. Because there's almost no funding available for it. I mean, the only real funds that exist is what we give to costs every year, and that's a pittance. Those guys end up taking more out of their own pocket to maintain the town properties than what the town provides to them.
Okay.
There's no more money in the budget.
Well, there may be no more money in the budget, but holy mackerel, we keep acquiring more and more properties and sticking them under conservation with no funding plans.
And there are some other problems with an emphasis on putting it under conservation. It tends, from an agricultural point of view, it tends to limit to some degree what can be done. And if some support of agriculture is in fact the intent of the town, which it appears to be with the right to farm stuff and some of the things we say in here, then we probably need to encourage some of the land to be put under other control or under other mechanisms.
Okay, can you scroll down to the kind of the last page? I think that's where we identified the committee identified some new recommendations. Is that the lot?
Well, but before you get there, just to Nancy's comment, maintain existing open space using a management plan. If you do that, shouldn't the management plan have a budget on it? Maybe.
It should have a budget on it.
You want the last page, Evan?
This is it right here. So I did add, implement the reuse plan for the Warren Pole Farm.
Yeah.
I don't know what that
Yeah, right.
reuse, I think we're still trying to figure out what that reuse plan is. But certainly over the next 10 years, whatever it is, it needs to be implemented. Sounds like we want to add a new bullet in here about increased budgets or dedicated budgets for maintenance and improvement for open spaces. And then, so Nan and Mike, you're going to provide something on supporting local ag.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think,
Yeah.
I mean, do we want to do that separately or we want to discuss it tonight?
Certainly can
Yeah.
discuss it. And
I'd
maybe,
kind of like to go away and. Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
Why don't can we put that on the agenda for next meeting and we'll try to get some proposals?
yeah, definitely.
Just to give you a flavor of it, I think one of them is obviously the farmers market support. I think in our agriculture section, we could actually talk about how town land is used for agriculture, because at the moment, I think Sheehan Farm, a good chunk of, well, I think Henry's got a ag lease up in Sheehan. I think they're doing at least part of Warren Pole. I've got an ag lease on Watson. So, there is agricultural activity, and Max Jordan's got an ag lease down at Sunny Meadows for Mud Island. And, could just you could just add a paragraph up there, like, make the point better.
All right. So I think this chapter is pretty well developed. I think we're just polishing, got to polish it up a little bit.
Okay.
Evan, may I ask a question?
Sure.
It reads in this section to meet ADA compliance to the best extent practicable. I think I understand what that means. In our age-friendly action plan under outdoor spaces and buildings, we have an action to promote and create opportunities for seniors to use public parks and playgrounds. Are those mutually compatible?
I guess I think it depends on what kind of open space you're referring to. I mean,
Well, if we talk about public parks and playgrounds to make them to promote and create opportunities for seniors to use those public parks and playgrounds, would that fall under the umbrella of an ADA compliance?
no, I would think that would be more about programming,
Right. Okay.
like senior friendly
Right.
fitness circuits or senior friendly recreational activities. Maybe bocce is a good example. That's different than ADA accessibility, in my viewpoint.
Do you think this section or the facility section should have somewhat of a more senior friendly, age friendly?
I think it's worth putting in both
Okay.
because they're two separate issues, but they blend. At some point they blend together.
Right.
Okay, yeah. If you could send me that information, the text that we like it inserted, I can
It's in our
incorporate.
action plan, Evan, which
Yep.
you should have a
I do
copy
have,
of.
yep. Okay.
It's the outdoor spaces and buildings action items,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
goal number 2.
All right. So those were the two chapters that were on the agenda to review this evening.
Wow, that was quick.
It's not even 8 o'clock. That's because Joe wasn't.
That's because Joe wasn't here.
No, I think it's a better chair.
Absolutely. It's
I
your
don't want that
brilliance,
job
Ken.
though, so.
All right, so these will circle back to the committee, not at your next meeting, because that NIMCOG is scheduled to appear at your next meeting to continue housing. I know they were working on the technical paper for housing this week, so they'll likely get that out. So this won't appear back in front of the committee for basically about a month.
Okay.
All right. And anything else we want to talk about? At some point, I was going to mention this to George. I'm beginning to wonder at what point does it make sense to have the committee get in front of the planning board? I'm not suggesting before the elections, but I wonder, is it to a point where certain chapters, or maybe we'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting. I don't know if we want to wait until we have like a final draft. to begin discussing or presenting some of it to the planning board.
Yeah, I think
Dan, any thoughts?
we got a couple of chapters that probably are quite ready and might as well get them through the planning board because there's an awful lot to chew on here. You're not going to do this in one meeting in front of the planning board.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's think about it some more and put it on the next agenda.
All right.
And maybe at the next planning board meeting, you and Nan can broach the topic
Yeah.
with the planning board. See how they would prefer to be
Yeah,
presented
yeah.
with it.
Nudge me at the meeting and I'll definitely bring it up.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I think it's time for a status report, though.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah,
Not
I wasn't able to.
necessarily a content review, but a status report, because we've been at this for so darn long.
Exactly.
And well, I don't know. I think George is the right person to do that, but it might be a discussion instead of a
Yeah.
presentation.
Nice. I'll work with George to get that on your next agenda for
Yeah.
discussion.
Great, yeah, that'd be good.
All right, I think that covers everything for tonight.
Well, do we want a age-friendly committee follow-up? That's next.
I apologize, yes.
Okay, Evan, thank you. As far as an age-friendly update, we had a meeting of the age-friendly Chelmsford core team yesterday. A focus of discussion was what the next phase is in the initiative, and that being the implementation phase. A focus of the discussion was the probable formation of an age-friendly Chelmsford implementation committee. We talked about some of the roles, responsibilities, the prospective membership, et cetera. Paul Cohen was there. He suggested a committee of perhaps 7 to 9 people with associate members, ad hoc associate members who would comprise a representative cross-section of the town, much like the age-friendly core team. So that is still in the planning process, but we're beginning to discuss the next phase, that being the implementation phase of the goals and actions.
Okay, is that the whole? Any questions for anybody? Anybody have any comments? Seeing none. Public input sessions. I don't know what the discussion there was for.
Just a standing agenda item at this point.
All right. Anything, what are we do in the next meeting? Is that we'll try to get in front of the planning board, or do you want to put something else on for?
I'll work with George to put it on the agenda for this committee to discuss in 2 weeks.
Okay. And we did get one set of minutes, I think. Did we have a chance to look at those?
I did. I'd move to accept. I can't remember which one it was, though. I think there may have been sets, actually.
There were two.
Two
14
sets?
14 January and 11 February.
Yeah. Well, I've looked at them both, and I'm perfectly willing to move that we accept both.
Yeah, I reviewed them too. I don't have any changes or recommendations.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Same here.
So we have a motion, a second. And I'm going to assume by that tally, that was a roll call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 I vote aye. Yeah. All right. And then that just leaves one last item.
Michael,
I would love to move to adjourn.
second.
We have a motion, second, all in favor by roll call.
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
We'll do it that way. Aye. You meeting at Applebee's?
Yeah.
Just joking. All right. Everybody have a great week. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Next